Okay, here's one to clarify my atheism, my lack of belief in the supernatural. That's what atheism is to me, is a lack of belief in supernatural, which includes anything that we can't explain, right? A UFO would be supernatural until we figure out what it is. Then we'd call it an IFO, because that's what we do. I would imagine that's what other intelligence would do, is think about something, then do something about it. Improve things, make them better. So that's my perspective on life. But the atheism part, I was raised without a belief in the supernatural. But I had Santa Claus. Santa Claus disappeared sometime around 8 years old, 7 years old, 12. I don't remember when he disappeared. It didn't matter, because the idea and the holiday was enough to carry the weight of it. And everyone got vacation, because that's kind of the rules during that time. So you go Christmas, right? But there was no religious things in our household. Now, this was middle class America. And it happens there was about every Christian denomination in this neighborhood. So I'd say Roman Catholics were predominant. Other Catholic religions were definitely there. Big old New England town with the church, one of the oldest in the nation. So religion was always around. And growing up, and I was introduced to these things, but I never found him. When invited to catechism, I was disinvited because I asked questions that made sense, that should have been answered, but weren't answered. So I've been around all of these things. If I've read 10 pages of the Bible, I would be exaggerating, because the first sentences make no sense. It's not well written. It's not cohesive. And if you know the sciences, if you understand how evolution and the planet formed and evolved some billions of years ago, how slowly and methodically we came to be. If there was a God, it could have been on the other side of the Big Bang. We can't know yet. We can theorize and think about it. We can postulate. We can stick it out there. But this supernatural thing has never occurred. I've never experienced it. It's not that I don't believe in a God. I don't understand what you claim it is, other than an idea, the words of men written down to try to help form a civilization of some sort, to help keep control over the masses so that everybody doesn't need to carry their own gun. What an ignorant society that would be if we had to carry guns. It wouldn't be a society. So all I've used is words. This is what we as human beings have. This is our primary weapon that we are taught to use. No one in our neighborhood ate babies. No one in our neighborhood ate the brains of their ancestors out of respect. No one in our neighborhood got a bow and arrow and went hunting for 3 weeks to go help the tribe survive. No one in our neighborhood had miracles happen. Did have, and I babysat the youngest pacemaker recipient in history back in the day when William DeBakey was doing pacemaker transplants. So again, babysitting, and I was young, babysitting a young boy with a pacemaker. The first young. So yeah, that was science and technology. In that house, they were religious, but there were no prayers about saving their son, saving their baby. There were serious folks doing medical research to save people's lives. Some religions would have said, you can't even have a transfusion. That baby should have been dead. As far as I know, the young man's alive and thriving. They moved and lost touch. So This need to put a three-letter word into explanations everywhere hurts the conversations. It does not help. But it does bastardize the conversation. You can't make sense of what is injected into a conversation when you throw superstitions in there. Nuclear decay, we have known about for longer than I'm alive. I was taught and trained from the materials surrounding that research in those days, and that was 3 decades after the research was done. So this was reasonably public knowledge. You wouldn't have been introduced to it unless you were at a research university in above most general education levels, above a bachelor's degree. It's just how complicated this is. I sit on a body of knowledge. Everything I say I've done, I did with a team of people, with books of knowledge, with references, with peers, and that's how it worked. There was never supply chain management, a global supply chain, getting parts to an operator on the line at a precise time of day that's been delivered from overseas. That's the type of tracking and management and look-intos that you do. It's UPS before UPS was invented. So global scale stuff, big, never supernatural involved. The nuclear power plant safety considerations, those are set, defined processes required within engineering work. Can the processes be bastardized? Absolutely. Still no supernatural within them. Not a need for supernatural. Atomic nuclear decay, subatomic particles. If we didn't look for them, we wouldn't know about them. We wouldn't have nuclear weapons. But we found them because we're curious animals. And we have speech, the most powerful tool. We need common words, common understanding of them. And I get confused. I was in a video, a live presentation the other day on subatomic particles and how the universe got here. And they used a particle that in my world is a specific thing. In a different context, it confused me. Still no faith required. It's understanding that's required. It's the ability to put the body of knowledge we sit upon, that sacred tree that drops apples for us. Anyway, so atheism was always a soft thing to me. I never brought it up in conversation. I sat in most every state that you can name and worked with people and folks and got invited to things that I just passed up or passed by, instead of making closer friends and ties and things. So you do make a sacrifice. You do. It is a closet that you stay in, but it's not like others' closet. So I've answered, are you religious? I believe, and I have faith. It was a white lie, but hey. So I'm a hard atheist because I'm a realist, and nature does not care about opinions. It truly doesn't. You can offer all the opinions you want to nature and it won't change its ways. People, on the other hand, you can speak with. Why they won't put some of the attributes of faith we know are not true, we know are misinterpretations from fables, from anecdotes, from stories from the past. We can only hope that someday the folks after us don't discover Harry Potter and decide to turn that into a god. Wouldn't that be silly? Thank you, folks. Rather long one. But atheism it never mattered. It wasn't a part of the professional world. Now, personal life, home life, it was struggles. So, just life. Here I am, made it this far. Happy Friday the 13th with a full moon. We survived.